Hello, the unspoken ladies, welcome to the channel. Never mistake silence for surrender. The quietest person in the room is often the one who has already seen the game and chosen not to play it. Here's something unsettling. Psychologists have long observed that manipulative people don't waste their energy on everyone. They study people, they watch for patterns, and when they encounter someone who is difficult to influence, predictable tactics no longer work. That's when the real psychological chess match begins. If you identify with the Sigma female mindset, independent, observant, and impossible to pressure into following the crowd, you may have noticed something strange. Certain people don't simply dislike you. They become fascinated by you. They watch you longer than they talk to you. They test your reactions instead of having honest conversations. And before you realize it, you're not dealing with ordinary conflict anymore. You're dealing with carefully calculated behavior. The scary part: the people with the darkest intentions rarely come wearing a warning label. They don't storm into your life like movie villains. They smile, they compliment you, they laugh at your jokes. Sometimes they're even the first to offer help. But behind the scenes, they're collecting information, measuring your character, and quietly searching for the one crack in your armor. Think of it like a cat staring at a laser pointer. Except in this case, you're not the cat. They're the one chasing the dot. Not quite as adorable when you think about it. In today's video, we're uncovering 12 extraordinary things evil people do when they know you're a Sigma female. Not the obvious cliches you've heard 100 times, but the subtle psychological tactics almost nobody notices until it's far too late. Some of these behaviors are so deceptively ordinary that they've probably happened to you without you realizing it. Stay until the very end, because the final point isn't about destroying your confidence. It's about something far more disturbing. How some people try to rewrite your entire story without ever saying a single word to your face. Number 1, they manufacture situations where every choice makes you look wrong. Some people don't try to beat you with better ideas. They try to build a trap where every move you make works in their favor. When they realize you're not easy to manipulate, they stop looking for arguments they can win and start creating situations where there is no right answer for you. This is one of the most frustrating tactics because it doesn't feel like an attack at first. It feels like bad luck. Suddenly, every decision you make seems to attract criticism. If you speak up, you're called controlling. If you stay quiet, you're accused of being distant. If you offer help, you're trying to show off. If you step back, you're selfish. The goal isn't to prove you're wrong. The goal is to make sure you can never be seen as right. People like this don't care about fairness. They care about keeping you on the defensive. As long as you're busy explaining yourself, apologizing, or trying to clear up misunderstandings, you're too distracted to notice who created the confusion in the first place. What makes this tactic especially dangerous is that they often involve other people without making it obvious. They twist conversations, leave out important details, or tell different versions of the same story to different people. By the time you realize what's happening, you're walking into a situation that was carefully arranged long before you arrived. A Sigma female often becomes a target because she doesn't react the way manipulators expect. She isn't desperate for approval, and she usually trusts her own judgment. That makes controlling her much harder. Instead of trying to control her directly, they try to control how every choice she makes is interpreted. The strongest response is not to waste your energy trying to satisfy people who have already decided to misunderstand you. When someone is determined to turn every decision into evidence against you, the problem isn't your choices. It's the game they've designed. And the smartest move is to stop playing by rules that were never meant to be fair in the first place. Number 2, they turn your independence into proof. You're emotionally defective. One of the cleverest tricks manipulative people use is changing the meaning of your greatest strength. When they realize they can't control an independent woman, they don't attack her freedom directly. Instead, they try to convince everyone that her independence is actually a flaw. They stop describing you as confident and start calling you cold. They stop saying you're self-reliant and begin suggesting that you're difficult to love. They quietly replace words that inspire respect with words that create doubt. Before long, people who don't know you well begin to wonder if your quiet confidence is really arrogance, or if your healthy boundaries are signs that something is wrong with you. This tactic works because many people are uncomfortable with someone who doesn't constantly seek approval. An independent Sigma female doesn't need to be the loudest person in the room, nor does she need everyone to agree with her. She can enjoy her own company, make her own decisions, and walk away from situations that no longer serve her. To secure people, that's simply confidence. But to manipulative people, it's a threat they have to explain away. You'll often hear subtle comments disguised as concern. They'll say things like, "She pushes everyone away," or "I just hope she lets people in someday." It sounds caring on the surface, but the real purpose is to plant a seed of suspicion. They're not trying to understand you. They're trying to rewrite how others see you. The sad truth is that society often celebrates independence until someone truly lives it. The moment you stop chasing validation, stop apologizing for your choices, and stop making yourself smaller to keep others comfortable, some people begin searching for a reason to label you. They would rather believe you're emotionally damaged than accept that you simply refuse to depend on their approval. Number 3. They reward your lowest standards. One of the darkest things manipulative people do is celebrate the version of you that is easiest to control. They don't clap when you're becoming stronger. They applaud when you're becoming smaller. Pay close attention to the moments when certain people suddenly become extra supportive. Is it when you're setting healthy boundaries, chasing your goals, and respecting yourself? Or is it when you're exhausted, doubting yourself, accepting less than you deserve, and saying yes to things you don't even want to do? The answer tells you everything. These people don't want the best version of a Sigma female. They want the most convenient version of her. They encourage you to overwork because an exhausted mind asks fewer questions. They praise you for always being available because someone who is constantly available is easier to use. They compliment you for being so understanding every time you overlook disrespect, because your tolerance benefits them far more than it benefits you. At first, it feels like support. They make you believe you're being admired. But if you look closely, they're only rewarding behaviors that slowly chip away at your confidence and self-respect. The stronger you become, the less enthusiastic they seem. The moment you begin saying no, protecting your peace, or expecting better treatment, their praise disappears. Suddenly you're too difficult, too proud, or not the same person anymore. That change is no coincidence. Your growth threatens the comfort they found in your lower standards. They never wanted you to become unshakable. They wanted you to remain just insecure enough to keep accepting crumbs while calling them a feast. A Sigma female who understands this stops measuring support by applause. Not everyone cheering for you wants to see you succeed. Some are only cheering because you're walking in the direction that serves their interests. Number 4. They create fake opportunities just to measure your integrity. Not every opportunity is meant to help you succeed. Some are carefully designed to reveal who you are when no one seems to be watching. Manipulative people understand this better than most. When they realize a Sigma female cannot be easily influenced, they stop trying to persuade her. Instead, they start testing her. They may offer you a shortcut that seems too good to pass up. They invite you into conversations filled with gossip, hoping you'll add your own opinion. They hand you information that isn't yours to know just to see if you'll repeat it. They tempt you with offers that promise quick rewards, but quietly require you to compromise your values. It all looks harmless on the surface, but the real opportunity isn't for you, it's for them. They're gathering evidence about your character. The frightening part is that these tests rarely feel like tests. They come disguised as favors, friendships, or lucky breaks. If you fail, they now know exactly where your principles can be bought. If you pass, they don't celebrate your honesty. They simply realize they'll need a different strategy next time. This is why a Sigma female often makes manipulative people uncomfortable. She isn't easily dazzled by status, money, or empty promises. She has learned that anything demanding the sacrifice of her self-respect usually costs far more than it pays. While others rush toward what looks exciting, she pauses long enough to ask a simple question: what is this really asking me to give up? That pause is powerful. It protects her from traps that catch people who only see the reward and never examine the price. Integrity has a strange way of frustrating those who rely on deception. They expect everyone to have a weak spot that can be exploited. When they discover yours isn't for sale, they don't always walk away. Sometimes they become even more determined to find another door into your life. The lesson is simple but unforgettable. Not every open door is an invitation. Some doors are nothing more than hidden examinations, and passing the test often means having the courage to walk away from an opportunity that never deserved you in the first place. Number 5. They borrow your personality before attacking it. One of the strangest things manipulative people do is admire you in secret while trying to defeat you in public. Before they criticize you, they study you. They pay close attention to the way you speak, the confidence you carry, your sense of humor, your habits, and even the little things that make you different. It may look like admiration, but often it's research. At first, it feels flattering. They suddenly start using the same phrases you use. They begin dressing a little like you, adopting your opinions, or copying the way you handle people. They laugh at the same jokes, develop the same interests, and somehow always seem to be one step behind you, collecting pieces of your personality without asking. Then something changes. Once they've borrowed enough of what makes you unique, they slowly begin attacking those very qualities. The confidence they once admired becomes arrogance. Your quiet nature becomes being unfriendly. Your independence suddenly becomes thinking you're better than everyone else. It's a calculated shift. They want people to forget where those qualities came from and start believing the negative version they're selling. Why would someone do this? Because originality has power. People who struggle to build their own identity sometimes find it easier to imitate someone else's and then damage the original. If they can make others question your character while presenting themselves as the better version of you, they believe they've won without ever creating anything of their own. A Sigma female is especially vulnerable to this because she doesn't usually advertise her strengths. She simply lives them. That quiet confidence attracts both genuine admiration and unhealthy obsession. The wrong people don't just want what she has, they want people to believe it belonged to them all along. The truth is, copied confidence never carries the same weight as the real thing. Anyone can imitate your words, your style, or your habits for a while. What they cannot copy is the life experience, self-respect, and quiet resilience that shaped them. Authenticity doesn't come from perfect imitation. It comes from being comfortable in your own skin, and that's one thing no manipulator can ever steal, no matter how hard they try. Number 6, they deliberately make you look lucky instead of competent. There is something manipulative people understand very well. If they can't stop your success, they'll try to change the story behind it. They know that people respect competence because it is earned. Luck, on the other hand, feels temporary. That's why they work so hard to convince others that your achievements happened by chance instead of through discipline, intelligence, or persistence. They'll never openly say you aren't capable. That would be too obvious. Instead, they'll make quiet comments that sound harmless. She was just in the right place at the right time. Things always seem to work out for her. She knows the right people. At first, these words don't seem like insults, but together they slowly erase the years of effort that nobody saw. What they leave out are the late nights, the difficult decisions, the sacrifices, and the moments when you kept going even after everyone else had given up. Those parts don't fit the story they're trying to tell. It's easier for them to believe that your success fell into your lap than to admit that you earned it. This tactic isn't really about convincing you. It's about convincing everyone watching. If people believe your success is nothing more than good fortune, they become less likely to trust your judgment, value your advice, or recognize your ability. Your influence begins to shrink, even while your accomplishments continue to grow. A Sigma female often faces this because she rarely feels the need to announce every struggle she's overcome. She lets her results speak for themselves. Ironically, that silence gives manipulators room to write their own version of her story. Never underestimate how powerful quiet consistency really is. Luck may open a door once, but it cannot keep opening the same door year after year. Consistent success almost always points to preparation, resilience, and good decisions. People who dismiss your achievements as luck usually aren't trying to explain your success. They're trying to protect themselves from admitting that your discipline produced something they were unwilling to work for. In the end, real competence doesn't need applause to exist. It simply keeps producing results long after the excuses have faded. Number 7. They make other people deliver their cruelty. The most calculating people rarely attack you with their own hands. They've learned that staying in the shadows is far safer than standing in the spotlight. Instead of becoming the obvious villain, they quietly encourage others to do the damage for them. By the time the hurt reaches you, it comes through someone else's words, someone else's actions, and someone else's face. This is what makes the tactic so difficult to recognize. One friend suddenly becomes distant. A co-worker starts treating you differently. Someone you've never had a problem with begins acting cold for no clear reason. It feels random, but sometimes it isn't. Someone has been planting seeds behind the scenes, sharing half-truths, hinting at hidden motives, or carefully shaping opinions without ever making direct accusations. The manipulator stays clean while everyone else unknowingly becomes part of the plan. They don't need to lie outright. A raised eyebrow, a doubtful question, or a carefully timed comment can be enough to make people start questioning your character. Once doubt takes root, the rest often happens on its own. People fill in the blanks with their own assumptions, and suddenly you're defending yourself against accusations that no one can trace back to the original source. A Sigma female often becomes a target because she doesn't spend her life trying to win popularity contests. She values genuine connections over constant approval. Manipulative people see that as an opportunity. They know she won't chase every rumor or beg people to believe her. They mistake her dignity for weakness, believing silence means they've won. What they fail to understand is that borrowed voices eventually reveal borrowed intentions. People who are constantly used as messengers often discover they've been manipulated themselves. Truth has a way of exposing patterns over time. The same person always seems to be at the center of confusion, even if they're never the one speaking the loudest. Number 8. They keep you busy solving problems they secretly created. One of the most deceptive tactics manipulative people use is making you believe you're constantly dealing with bad luck, when in reality, someone has been quietly creating the very problems you're trying so hard to solve. They don't always attack you directly, because that would expose their intentions. Instead, they create confusion from a distance and then sit back to watch you struggle through it. A conversation gets twisted just enough to start an argument. An important piece of information somehow never reaches you. A misunderstanding appears out of nowhere. People suddenly seem upset with you, but no one can explain exactly why. You spend days trying to fix relationships, clear your name, or repair situations that should never have fallen apart in the first place. The manipulator counts on one thing: your good nature. They know you'll look for logical explanations. You'll assume there has been a mistake. You'll work harder to restore peace instead of asking who benefits from all the chaos. Sometimes they even step in as the helpful person. They offer advice, pretend to comfort you, or volunteer to help solve the very problem they secretly started. It makes them look trustworthy while keeping all suspicion away from themselves. It's a clever disguise because people naturally trust the one who appears to be helping. A Sigma female eventually notices a pattern. The same person always seems to be nearby whenever unnecessary drama begins. They somehow know details they shouldn't know. They always have an opinion about conflicts before anyone else does. The more closely you look, the more you realize that coincidence isn't always coincidence. This tactic is exhausting because it steals something more valuable than your time. It steals your focus. While you're busy putting out one fire after another, you're too distracted to build your future, protect your peace, or recognize who's holding the match. Number 9. They never attack your reputation directly. The most dangerous attacks on your reputation rarely begin with an accusation. They begin with a question. Manipulative people understand that a direct attack can be challenged, defended, or proven false. A carefully placed question, however, is much harder to fight because it sounds innocent. Instead of saying, "She's dishonest," they'll ask, "Have you ever noticed she changes her story sometimes?" They won't say, "She thinks she's better than everyone else." They'll casually wonder, "Do you think she's always been this distant?" The words seem harmless, but their real purpose is to plant a seed. Once that seed is in someone's mind, people often begin searching for evidence to support it, even when none exists. This tactic is so effective because it allows the manipulator to hide behind curiosity. If they're confronted, they can quickly say, "I was only asking," or "I didn't mean anything by it." They escape responsibility while the damage continues to grow. Doubt spreads quietly, and before long, people start treating you differently without ever telling you why. A Sigma female is especially vulnerable to this because she usually doesn't spend her time defending her image. She assumes that if people know her, they'll judge her by her actions. Manipulative people count on that. They know she won't rush around correcting every rumor or chasing every opinion. They use her silence as space to let suspicion grow. The hardest part is that once people begin questioning your character, every normal action can suddenly look suspicious. Your confidence becomes arrogance, your privacy becomes secrecy, your kindness becomes manipulation. Nothing about you has changed, but the story surrounding you has. The strongest response isn't trying to answer every whispered question. It's continuing to live in a way that truth eventually becomes impossible to ignore. False stories can travel quickly, but they struggle to survive when your actions remain consistent over time. Number 10. They try to make you over-explain everything. One of the smartest tricks manipulative people use is making you feel as though every decision you make needs to be defended. They know that the moment you start explaining yourself over and over, you've stepped onto ground where they have the advantage. The conversation is no longer about your choice. It's about keeping you trapped in a never-ending cycle of justification. It usually starts with simple questions that seem reasonable. Why did you do that? What did you mean by that? Are you sure that's what happened? There's nothing wrong with honest questions, but this isn't about understanding. Every answer you give is followed by another question, then another, until you begin feeling as though no explanation is ever good enough. The real objective isn't clarity, it's exhaustion. Manipulative people know that a confident Sigma female is comfortable making decisions without needing everyone to approve of them. She doesn't live her life asking for permission. So they create an invisible pressure, hoping she'll start doubting herself. The longer she explains, the more she begins wondering if she really did something wrong. There's another reason this tactic works so well. Every extra sentence gives them more material to twist. They take your words out of context, focus on one small detail, or ignore your main point altogether. Before long, you're explaining your explanation instead of discussing the original issue. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much effort you pour in, it never feels enough. People with healthy intentions don't demand endless explanations. They listen, they ask questions when needed, and then they move forward. Manipulative people do the opposite. They keep moving the finish line because they were never looking for an answer. They were looking for control. A Sigma female becomes even stronger when she realizes she doesn't owe everyone a detailed defense of her choices. Sometimes a simple answer is enough. Sometimes silence is enough. And sometimes walking away is the clearest response of all. Number 11. They weaponize your compassion against you. One of the cruelest things manipulative people do is take one of your most beautiful qualities and turn it into a weakness. They notice your patience, they notice your willingness to understand people. They notice that you don't give up on others easily. Then, instead of appreciating those qualities, they search for ways to use them against you. A compassionate person naturally wants to believe there is a reason behind someone's behavior. They think, maybe they're going through something. Maybe they didn't mean it that way. Maybe I should give them another chance. These thoughts come from kindness, but manipulative people learn how to use that kindness as a safety net for their bad behavior. They know you are likely to forgive. They know you may hesitate before walking away. They know you might carry the emotional weight of a situation even when you weren't the one who caused it. So they repeat the same patterns, knowing your empathy may convince you to stay longer than you should. The most dangerous part is that they often make you feel guilty for having boundaries. The moment you finally say enough is enough, they act shocked. Suddenly, you are the unforgiving one. You are the cold one. They ignore all the times you showed understanding and focus only on the one moment you chose yourself. A Sigma female often struggles with this because her strength is not always loud. She can see beneath people's actions. She understands human flaws and believes people can grow. But wisdom means recognizing the difference between someone who made a mistake and someone who repeatedly chooses to hurt you. Compassion without boundaries becomes self-abandonment. Kindness without discernment becomes an open door for people who only take. The right people will value your compassion. They won't use your heart as a place to hide their harmful behavior. They will respect your forgiveness, but they will also respect your limits. Number 12. They don't want to defeat you. They want to rewrite your story. The most powerful attack against a person is not always destroying what they have built. Sometimes it is changing how people see what they built. Manipulative people understand that controlling the story around you can be just as powerful as controlling your circumstances. They know that a person's reputation, character, and legacy are built through perception. So instead of openly fighting your success, they try to change the meaning behind it. They take your strengths and give them negative explanations. Your confidence becomes arrogance. Your independence becomes selfishness. Your silence becomes weakness. Your honesty becomes cruelty. The goal is not simply to make you fail. The goal is to make others misunderstand you. This tactic is especially frustrating because you can be doing everything right and still find yourself defending a version of yourself that someone else created. They carefully select moments, remove context, and highlight only the pieces that support their preferred narrative. A single mistake becomes your entire personality. A single boundary becomes proof that you don't care. Years of kindness can be ignored because one moment of self-protection is easier to criticize. A Sigma female often faces this because she may not spend her life explaining herself. She focuses on her actions rather than constantly managing opinions. She understands that chasing every rumor is exhausting. But manipulative people sometimes mistake her silence for permission to write whatever story they want. The truth is that false stories require constant maintenance. They need people to keep repeating them because they cannot survive against consistent reality. Over time, patterns reveal themselves. The person who was labeled difficult continues showing kindness. The person accused of being cold continues helping others. The person called arrogant continues treating people with respect. Your life is the evidence. Never allow someone else's insecurity, jealousy, or hidden agenda to become the author of your identity. People can misunderstand you for a moment, but they cannot permanently rewrite someone who continues to live with integrity. The truth is, dealing with manipulative people is rarely about winning an argument or proving that you are right. It is about recognizing patterns, protecting your peace, and refusing to let someone else control the way you see yourself. When certain people realize they cannot control a Sigma female through pressure, guilt, fear, or approval, they often change their strategy. They test boundaries. They twist situations. They question your character. They try to make you doubt your instincts and convince you that your greatest strengths are actually weaknesses. But the one thing they cannot take from you is self-awareness. A person who knows herself is difficult to manipulate. A person who trusts her judgment is difficult to confuse. And a person who values her peace is difficult to control. Remember, not every criticism deserves your attention. Not every opinion deserves your energy, and not every battle deserves your participation. Sometimes the most powerful response is staying grounded, staying authentic, and allowing your actions to speak louder than the stories others try to create about you. Your independence is not a flaw. Your boundaries are not cruelty. Your quiet confidence is not arrogance. The right people will recognize your strength without needing you to prove it. If you enjoyed this video and found these insights valuable, make sure to subscribe to the Unspoken Ladies for more deep discussions about personality, psychology, confidence, and the hidden traits that make certain individuals stand apart. Don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and leave a comment below. Let us know which of these tactics surprised you the most. Until the next video, keep growing, keep learning, and never allow anyone else to rewrite the story you were born to tell.